Leaders, welcome to Leadership Live, brought to you by Fuel. We're letting everyone just kind of come in, make yourself comfortable here in our virtual space here. We're excited to be with you. You don't even know what's in store for you right now with Dr. Gloria Mayfield Banks. It's going to be so much fun here in a second. So I'm just going to go ahead and get it underway because we're prompt. And we're bringing the lightning and the thunder. We'll let other people show up as they will. So I want to welcome to Leadership Live Dr. Gloria Mayfield Banks. Now she's going to help us. We're going to be talking about peace, P-I-E-C-E. I'm not going to tell you what that means, but you will need to know it in order to grow whatever enterprise you're growing. It could be in sales, it could be leadership, it could be entrepreneurship. You need this. And who are we talking to? Maybe you've been living under a rock. You don't know who Dr. Gloria Mayfield Banks is. Well, she's only this amazing person who's led, I think, for over 6 years, the entire Mary Kay Cosmetics. That's 3.5 million other salespeople. You're looking at the number one person. She's led teams, she's built teams, she's written books, she's spoken from stages, she's inspirational, she's motivational, and there's a lot more in the package that we could talk to, but this is someone that has a lot to offer, and you're not going to want to miss the surprises that we're going to unpack today. So, Dr. Gloria Mayfield Banks, welcome.
I'm so excited. I just love the way you did it. Oh, I'm so excited to be here with you, Donnie. I'm so excited to be here with Fuel. I'm so excited to be with these very hungry, ambitious people who are not afraid to state the fact that they're ambitious, to state the fact that they're hungry, to state the fact that they know more is coming for them and they're willing to do the work to get it. And that's not everybody. So I'm really always excited to be amongst those who choose to be in that light.
I love that. I love the attitude that you bring. And I've got to tell you, just by going in and getting refreshed up with your message, it's been something like it's just coursing through my veins. There's energy and life here. I want to know, listen, we're going to get into all of this great stuff. Most people are going to say, hey, what do you do? Like you go to a party, right? What do you do? I want to know. I want to take it a different direction for a minute.
Okay. All right.
I want to ask, what do you love? What do you love right now, Dr. Gloria Mayfield Banks?
What I love is laughter. What I love is family. And what I love is travel. I mean, I seriously love those things. There's so much about watching other people end up at a place that they did not think they were capable of getting to. That's what I love career-wise. But other than that, I do know that I get so much when I get a chance to laugh deeply in my soul. And when I really get to be around my family members, who, by the way, cause me to laugh more than any comic that I've seen anywhere. And then I love to travel. I love to travel because I get to see things that I would not have seen otherwise. I get to feel things I would not see otherwise. And I get to understand things I would not have otherwise if I hadn't traveled.
That's us, right? Anyone here in the audience, I hope you can say, that's me too. And the cool thing is that while we do these things, I'm talking to someone who is, you're not just a teacher, you're a learner in these things. And so that's the fun part about that journey. Can you tell us, can you break down this system, this process you've created?
Yes.
And peace. Talk to us about finding peace.
I will. I led a very large international sales force. It was over 12,000 women in 8 different countries. And I brought a lot of people who were at the time ordinary in the world in which they were living to the place where they could see extraordinary. And when you lead a team, you're always trying to figure out which path is going to work best for the team, which path is going to work best for the person. Always, I tell people I was never, ever bored because every time somebody different was sitting in front of me, I want to know their story. I want to know their blocks. I want to know what gifts they had that were going to accelerate them. I want to know how they were going to fit into their vision, my vision, the company's vision. I mean, it's just always something there. But what I decide to do when you become a leader and you lead a team, especially when you lead a team of very strong, successful people, because it's a different team when you lead a team of beginners and then when you lead a team of very strong, successful people in their own right. You've tried to find the core that separates those who go beyond. So I know that when you get to a very successful level, or when you're on the trajectory and you feel like you're overwhelmed and there's so much that's going on, we're all looking for peace. We're all looking some form of peace. Some people say you're looking for freedom by the choices. I know in our hearts we're looking for a form of peace, acceptance, joy. So I started thinking about these things that I've always talked about, and I decided to put them in an acronym so I could remember. Now, peace. Most people would spell it P-E-A-C-E, but I'm dyslexic. So I spelled it P-I-E-C-E because it fit for me. And I think that when you teach, when it fits for you, it's much easier to teach other people how it fits when it fits for you. So P, for me, first let me set this up as, I believe as hard as we work and as many rules as we follow and as many books as we read and as many lectures as we listen to, that no matter what you do, if you're dealing with people, you have to grab the soft skills that make the other results tangible. And without these soft skills, you will always be trying to figure out how to get to the yes or how to get to the win. My position, I felt, was how to teach people how to win, not how to work, but how to win. So the P stands for people skills. The I stands for influence. The E stands for emotional management or intelligence. The C stands for confidence. And the E stands for excellence and energy. And I want to go back to the I for a second because it flip-flops. I'll tell you the truth. It flip-flops between influence and income.
I was wondering because I had income.
Yeah,
Okay.
it flip-flops because I believe with all my heart, but I need people to hear me when I say it's not the money, it's what you do with the money. It's not the money, it's what the money causes you to do or feel or change because of it. But I believe that money is the measure of the pleasure you give to other people.
Whoa, say that again.
Yeah. Money is in many forms the measure of the pleasure you put into the lives of others. And you don't get that without increasing your influence.
That is so good. I mean, in when we charge other people, what we're also receiving is a receipt of
Yes,
the measure of
yes,
the pleasure
right,
that they were able to like it really it's not about the stacks of the little green things.
right,
This is just a receipt of wow. I love
right, right. And then when you get more income, you are able to give more pleasure because you can't give what you don't have.
it. Mm,
And how you choose to do that. My husband and I, when you do philanthropy, when you get to the point where you can do philanthropy, or everybody can do philanthropy, let me just say that. But
yes.
sometimes the more money you have, the more philanthropy you can do. So the movie came out, The Black Panther, and we knew that it was going to really fuel so many people's vision of how they see themselves. So we rented out like 4 theaters and found a friend to gather all these kids to come to the theater, and we did a dance thing and everything. And just watching the kids and their response. I tell that story because it's relatable. It's not that we haven't done anything since then, but it's just relatable to what money can do, because some people will say, oh, I have enough. I have enough. And a girlfriend of mine said this to me once. She said, unless you can feed all the homeless people, do you really have enough? So, I mean, we have stories. I just think we all have stories. I love telling stories because it makes people remember things. It makes me remember things.
Oh, 100%. I agree. Do you feel like just staying here on the well, I'm going to go back to the P because well, you mentioned when you meet these individuals, and we have a lot of leaders here, and
Yes.
it is a big deal to not just look at people and say, "Oh, well, like the one size fits all."
Yeah.
Like here's A through Z, do that. But I sensed almost something like where you're how do you draw out individuals' unique gifts and talents and apply them into a process that's going to work? Because I know you work with like thousands of people,
Yes.
and there are people that didn't even have to show up. Like in your world,
Yeah.
they don't have to show up.
Right. Right. You don't have to show up. So you have to become someone who understands the magnitude of inspiring and inspiring people to do things that they had not yet seen for themselves. And one of that is helping them identify their gifts. And one of them is making sure that they don't compare themselves to you. Because when you're a leader, people, when they come into your space, they immediately start comparing themselves and measuring themselves to the leader that they admire. And then the next thing is they discount themselves. They discount themselves as, I'm not like you. I don't have the energy you have, or I don't have the foresight you have, or I don't have the desire you have, or blah, 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 blah. And I explain that to them. And I say to them, you have gifts. And the way that I see it, and you tell me if you see it the same way. And I do a lot of talking back and forth with people when I talk about people skills. But the way I see it is God gave me certain gifts. And he gave you gifts, and he gave you gifts, but he did not give me your gifts, and he did not give you my gifts. So you need to find out what yours are, and I need to find out what mine, because the only way that you do well in sales and the only way you do well in leadership is if you serve others.
Mm-hmm.
So when you find the best way to serve others, even though it comes back to you tenfold, and I believe that it does, the art of people skills and helping them identify their gifts and realizing that the gifts change over time. You don't just have that set of gifts. You either become better at the gifts that you have, you discover more gifts that you have that are revealed to you because of the challenges that you've had. You know, when you guys hear me or see me and you hear, wow, number one in Mary Kay Cosmetics, over 3.5, wow, 8 international countries, or blah, blah, blah. Or she went to Howard University and she went to Harvard Business School and she was number one in IBM in her division. I also was in 10 years of domestic violence. I also had a black eye when I started Harvard Business School. I also got through a divorce when my children were 1 and 2 years old. So I share that with people because no matter what people look like or what they've been through, you have no idea where they can go. No idea. And you have to let them know that you are not today who you will always be tomorrow.
That is so good. And by the way, I'm just gonna this isn't a rest area, but for those of you who are here, chime in. You can throw your stuff in the chat. I'm not as good at looking at the chat as Todd Duncan and Alex Kutsishin are. I will say this. Uh, we'll get to those questions, and I also want to say thank you to Todd and to Alex for trusting me
Yeah.
to direct this. I get to hang out with some of my heroes. I looking at how can leaders, what would you say leaders can do? I see us like we have to call out greatness in others. Like a part of it is helping. We don't see ourselves oftentimes. Well, I can see your gift and her gift and his gift, but it's
Yeah.
hard to see our own
Mhm.
sometimes. How can leaders get better at helping people to see that and rely on that and put that into their work process?
Yeah. Okay, so I tell people the most important thing you can give to yourself, the most important gift you can give to yourself is self-awareness. Your self-awareness, what you think about, what you say, watching your words, watching your thoughts, watching your vision, watch who you hang around. Just be aware. But also, you have to know how to go about identifying your gifts, because I know what it's like to deny yourself the gifts you have. I remember people walking up to me saying, Gloria, you're so charismatic. Oh, wow, Gloria, you're so charismatic. Gloria, you're so charismatic. I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I would really, it wasn't just to deflect. It was, no, no, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this and that. But they would see things in me that I didn't necessarily see in myself. So I always tell people, number one, you have to know you have individual gifts. Everybody blends them up differently. Number two, you have to learn to stop and identify your gifts. And the way that you do that is you make this simple little chart. It says, what are my 1, 2, 3 gifts? And then what are my 4, 5 gifts?
Oh yeah, tell me more.
That's when it gets hard. Then you go 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 10. And just around that 5, 6, 7, you have to start asking people that you know what your gifts are. And you have to accept what they say. And then you investigate further because they're going to say things that you wouldn't necessarily put down first.
Mhm.
But they truly have watched you for years. They've watched you in work, they've watched you at home, they've watched your kindness, they've watched when you can be strong, and they will identify things. So I think that we have to receive what they say and use then how to implement that.
Wow.
Because I've had people that are so good, Donnie. I mean, they were amazing salespeople, and their personality was completely different than mine. When I tell you completely different than mine, but they had different gifts. And I would tell people all the time, the people that I would turn on, you will turn off.
Mhm.
And the people that you will turn on, I will turn off. And that's why you have to learn that no's, I'm not supposed to get every yes. I'm not going to find every yes, and I'm not going to turn everybody into a yes. But somebody will. And it's calling for their gifts.
So good. Listen, there are 1,000 ways to do the same exact thing.
Yes.
And
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that statement.
I
Yes.
keep this here, and there's an old saying that says that the gift, this is like
Yes. Beautiful.
the gift is like a precious stone in the eyes of its possessor.
Mhm.
Wherever it turns, it prospers. And some people here can say, well, my gift is like I'm good at doing loans. And it's like, that's not your gift. You're good
Right.
at doing loans.
Right.
Your gift is how you interface with people. Your gift are these are the things that come easiest to you. That it doesn't matter if I pulled you out of here and put you into Costa Rica, your gift would somehow shine out.
Yeah.
We had this, I'll never forget, back when I thought I was like a hot shot copy. I don't know why I thought I was a hot shot copier sales guy, but I did. All of us did in this little one building. And we had this one guy that would come in about every other week and he would shine our shoes. His name was Marvin, old guy. And he'd come in, break out his thing, shine up his shoes, made us feel special, get our shoes polished. But he would leave us with he was like a grandpa. He'd leave us with wisdom. He would tell stories and everyone loved him. No one realized that he actually was making more money than all of us were, but he was. And not only was he making more money, he was free and enjoying his life. He was fulfilling something.
Yeah.
It's like I've gotten my shoes shined by lots of other people before. No one did it like Marvin. And it's not the point of what you do. It's like, how would you do it? Like, how does your gift show up in that space? And so,
Exactly. I love that. And then once again, money is the measure of the pleasure he put into the lives of others
oh,
through his stories, through his intention, through the way he made you feel like your shoes were the best shoes and these shoes were going to make you walk on water and and he's seen this and seen that and lift you up. And if you sat in this chair and you were feeling awful, he didn't let you out of that chair until he knew for a fact that you were feeling great. That was his gift.
it was that. And it's interesting because he probably could have done 50 other things, but he still would have been, I'm sure he would have acted just the same if he was a barber or if he was a bartender or like anyway, it was just powerful to see. Bring us to the why is emotional intelligence? Why the E? And someone asked real quick for the PIECE. So maybe do a quick review of that and then bring us into the E.
Okay. So the P is people skills. The I is influence/income. The E is emotional management, or, they move from emotional management to emotional intelligence, but your emotions. The C is confidence, and the E is energy or excellence, or energy and excellence.
Love it.
So let me talk about emotions for a second, which is a very big deal. First, I want to say emotions are expensive. They're very expensive. They are definitely necessary, but they can put you on the right path. But most times, if you're not really self-aware, they put you on the wrong path. They cause doubt. They cause depression. They cause confusion. um, it can be so expensive. And I tell people this story, for example, I had to learn how to compartmentalize my emotions. And things that are challenging to us in the moment, like I said, are not challenging forever. But we know now with wisdom and experience that whatever we've gone through, there have been dark times. And I believe everybody who's turned 18 has had a dark moment at least once, twice. Okay. So for me, my domestic violence was a tremendous lesson that set me up for how to deal with women, in particularly, because that's what I did,
Mm.
who were going through emotionally challenging times. Even the times when they wanted to win and they didn't win, and they called me up very frustrated, and I'd say, I'm okay with your frustration. Just tell me what's on your mind. Let's talk. What I mean by that is I would have a huge argument with my husband. I would drive to a presentation. I would wipe my face, put on another layer of makeup. I'd walk in that house. I'd kill it in my cells. I'd get back in my car and start crying on the way home. That's emotional intelligence. You walk in there. It could have been expensive if
Mm.
I said, I'm not going. I can't do it. I don't want to pull myself together. I want to stay in this sad, depressed, ugly state because I feel more comfortable there in the moment. So, and that goes across everything, the way that you spend money, the way that you dress, the way you show up, the way you walk into a room. It's all emotions.
Mm.
And the ability for people to even believe more in themselves comes from a place of emotions. Speaking to leaders, let me just say this to the leaders. Your ability to teach people how to manage their emotions is a huge gift to them as you continue to manage your emotions. Because every time someone new comes in your space, they challenge your emotions. They challenge your emotions in terms of, do I have time for them? They challenge your emotions, do I have time to teach them? They challenge your emotions, do I believe in them? They challenge your emotions, am I judging them? I mean, there's so many things that you have to be aware of when it comes to emotional intelligence. And I know that you cannot get to the tangible results if you cannot handle people's opinions, particularly when you're a leader, everybody's going to tell you what they think you ought to do. But you've got to come to the decision of what you're going to do so that you can win.
Yeah. Do you like when you were talking about the dark times, and we've all been through them.
Yes.
Do you see that? First off, it sounds as though you were able to use that later on for like it brought you to a place of understanding
Yes.
in a way that nothing else. Do you think there's a place of maybe talk a little bit to the vulnerability that a leader can bring to the table? I think our dark times really is a way for us to be able to associate and affiliate with the people we're meant to help.
Yes.
And so, like, how would you do it? How'd you do it?
Yes. Okay. So first rule of thought I tell people is transparency makes a leader more loved, period, and more respected. That's what I teach, number one. Number two, I tell people that a secret is the heaviest piece of luggage you'll ever carry.
Whoa.
And so when you are walking around, because you can't tell a person that you're leading about your challenges in the midst of the challenge or in the midst of the darkness. But when you get to the light, because there's always light coming, when you get to the light and you get to the lessons, you can talk about it all the time. Using the light and using the lessons when you're in front of other people, knowing that every single person is either about to go into a challenge, they're in the middle of a challenge, or they just got through a challenge. The lessons you learned to cause the light to come back
Mm-hmm.
is what the real conversations are about. I
Mm.
mean, really, all of us can think about the conversations that we have with people that we're leading. Very small percentage is about what to do, and a very large percentage is about who to be.
Take me there.
Yeah.
Take me there because I feel like that everyone, by the way, especially we have AI, I'm sure we'll unfold other parts with this AI thing. It's like,
Yeah.
give me the prompt, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that I find the epidemic that we have is the better the question, the better the output. In the first place we should be putting the question, the first is right here. We haven't been asked because we're not really good at asking ourselves the best questions. What's happening is we're getting to a place where I think a lot of people want to fix a lot of things really fast. And so what they want is they want methods. They don't want to become the person that does the things. They just want to do the things
Yeah.
and move on. So how do we, you mentioned the feeling part, like grapple with that for me and tell me how do we approach it? How should we approach it? Speak to that.
Yeah. You know what? When you focus only on just the system, for instance, in sales, let's just say, you have to learn how to overcome objections, right? And of course, you have to know what the objections are and you got to memorize them and you got to be ready for them. However, if you don't understand the underlying people skills about the objections, the things that stand for, you're just saying that because you don't know how to say yes or no. You're just asking me that to see if you are confident in the materials that I have. I mean, the underlying reason for or dealing with objections, that's the part that I'm trying to teach people. Because when you understand that no matter what objection you have in front of you, you will be able to talk to the person in such a way they trust you, they lean in to what you're saying, and they feel easy at making a decision. You want people to feel easy at making a decision, whether it's a yes decision or a no decision, so that you have a chance to come back to them at some point, because everyone's life changes, in my mind, every 90 days. Like what was no on January can be a yes in April in a heartbeat, just because circumstances have changed. And because I left you in such a certain way, the door is open for me. So when people get so engrossed with the speed at which to do things versus the understanding how to do things, they forget how to duplicate it over and over and over again. And if you want to be a leader, you've got to teach people how to do it over and over and over again, so much so that they feel it, so that it's not a how to do it, it's this is how it's done.
And I see this, and when people show up as an empty suit, like their results are nowhere near like
Right.
what they could be. But when you can actually feel your work, and
Yes.
all of us deserve to feel our work, to feel that it's amounting to something that we love being, we deserve to inhabit that space.
Yeah.
We have a lot of women in particular on here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd love to address the value that you feel like that they can bring to this area, to this emotional part, because there's something they're very good probably at feeling, maybe a little bit more than
Mm-hmm.
of us, and they're really good at creating the feelings, but there's some danger in that too. If you're feeling too much, you might not be creating, and so
Yeah.
talk to the women. We've
Yes.
got them here. Yeah.
Yeah, this is really great because you will hear, and it is true, there's skills that we bring, that women bring, that are better than what some men have, and there's skills that men have that women don't have as well. We got that. So you can't trip about it, and you can't become a man, you can't become a woman, blah, 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 blah. But what you can do is you can understand, number one, the method that fits best for you. If you use it instead of comparing and you learn how to, it's going to be something that moves people forward. And I think that when you can lean in to the skill set that you have as a woman, meaning if someone's going to assume that you can't handle it because you're a woman and you spend your time trying to prove to them that you can through conversation, you're weakening who you are. It's in the proof of what you do. It's in the work in which you do. And so my whole thing is teaching women how to become their best, strong, confident self in what they're choosing to do, and not discount themselves and not let other people discount them, and so busy making them other people feel comfortable that they're not being their true self. I think that so many times we feel like we have to prove ourselves, and we do have to prove ourselves, but everybody has to prove themselves, but not prove yourself as a woman or a man. Prove yourself as someone who knows who they are, so they can do what it is they're supposed to do. I think that I've seen let me give you an example. I was talking to a woman She was sort of upset. I don't have my husband's support. Da 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 da. I said, why you need to support? Like, explain to me why you need to support. Like, does he stop you from doing what you need to do? Does he prevent you from being who you want to be? Da 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 da. No, no, no. I just want to support. I said, well, let me tell you how to get his support if it's that important to you. Do a great job at what you say you're going to do, and you'll have everybody's support. And you won't have anybody's support until you do it.
Mm.
So, and I show you that example because if you look to doing something and you put all your energies over here, it's not going to help you win in the right arena. And the emotions are pulling you over here because you want him or them or they to see you before you do what it is you're capable of doing. And I know it sort of sounds soft, but these are the soft skills
Well,
that are required.
let's be honest with ourselves. The truth is, okay,
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur, being a leader, being a business owner, any of these things requires a lot of output. And the truth
Yes.
is a lot of us, we talked about clutter as I was trying to find my pin before this. A lot of us create this almost a confusion dilution so that we can avoid doing the thing. I think a lot of times we're afraid to step into the light. We're afraid to step into the real, and I say work, but it's not just work, the 9 to 5 thing. It's like what we were made for. We're afraid to do that for some reason.
Right.
How can we get back? How can we find that? So confidence, like you're so big on creating it, and I want to hear
Yes.
confidence in this energy part, and I want to get, we want to go here, but like the soft part, but I want to get into some practical ways that we can actually spark and create that for
Yeah.
ourselves too, because this all of our business is driven by this, and we're all trying to find ways to kind of like half step it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the most effective way that you can change the dynamics of your results is to learn how to identify the passion that makes you push to the place where you're going.
Passion for it.
And I tell people that when you operate in passion, you can create momentum. When you operate in passion, you will create. When you operate in passion, you see what's possible. When you operate without passion, you see what the problems are. You see all the things that are distracting. When you're in passion, nothing distracts you. You become a force that goes through a wall. When you're not in passion, all you see is the wall. You never see what's on the other side of the wall. When you're in passion, you see everything positively. When you're not in passion, you complain about everything. I mean, it's just so many things. And I tell people, you want to know if you're in passion? You're in passion if you can't wait to get out of bed. And you're in passion if someone keeps saying, go to bed, go to bed. You don't want to go to bed. You want to get up because you want to do what you've been thinking about and creating. You don't want to go to sleep because you're ready to do just one more thing, one more thing, one more thing. And here's what people also have to know is you cannot stay at the height of passion you can't stay at 100 all the time. You'd wear yourself out. No one does that. However, we do know a lot of people float at lower vibrations or lower passion or low energy without even realizing, and they still do the job because they're a professional. They still show up, they still say the right things, but nothing's really moving because they're not passionate. So as a leader, my job is to inspire people to find their passion, because once they're passionate, then they want to learn. They want to get the education. Once they're passionate, it removes some of the fear that sits in front of them. Does it remove all the fear? No, but it makes them go towards the fear, then run away from the fear. So, helping people find the passion and without judgment. So I said, what stirs your passion? Because for some people, it's money. For some people, and I just want to tell people, like out of 100%, like 12 to 14% get motivated by money, even though they say it. It's what they do with money that will get them going. Some people, it's their health. Some people, it's their families. It's different things for different people. So as a person responsible for inspiring people, I have to ask the right questions deep enough. The first 2 or 3 questions is just surface. Let's just be clear. Sometimes you have to know a person for a minute. For instance, when I first met people coming out of the domestic violence situation, I certainly didn't tell them that I was working hard to provide for my kids because I came out of a domestic violence situation. I don't know you well enough to tell you that. But eventually, when trust is developed, conversations will gain. And that's why I became really good at sales, really good at sales. I don't care what I was selling, because I understood building a relationship with the person I was dealing with to the point where I could trust them and they could trust me. It wasn't just about you trusting me. It was I had to trust you and you had to trust me. And it only happens through conversation, revealing, transparency, asking questions, being able to ask questions in such a way where people say, well, I don't feel comfortable answering that right now. Okay. Well, I just want to let you know, I will ask the deep questions. You don't have to answer them. That also builds trust. So it's just about building that so that the passion shows up. Because once the passion shows up, then people are ready to build their confidence. To build confidence, it takes courage. So if you're passionate, you have more courage. With courage, you build confidence, and you are always building confidence. Always. You build confidence, it takes you to a level. You have to start all over again. Now you're at a new level, you have to build more confidence, and it takes more courage to get more confidence. So it's a cycle. So what you do is you teach people how to rebuild their confidence no matter what level they are. Let them know, don't trip, don't get upset because you're like, oh my God, I used to be so confident or used to be so comfortable. There's no comfort in the comfort zone. So all that, I just want to be comfortable. It's like the training of people at every single level, over and over and over again, never getting tired of reminding them of the things that they already know. They just forgot, or they set it to the side because it was uncomfortable.
That's so good. And I will say, leaders, the best thing you can do is it's not about the new information you're pouring into people. And by the way, to alleviate that pressure for leaders that like, I don't know what, they don't need me. They know more than me. It's not about that. It's about you reminding them of the things they already know.
Right.
And helping them to stay in that zone and in the joy. Listen, there's so much to unpack here. Like this whole, like I'm writing this down. It's like, it's true. Like in life and business and everything, passion is the multiplier.
Right. Right.
I have 8 kids that can prove that, right? Like
Yes.
passion multiply in life and in business. And if you're not in the place of passion in your work,
Yeah.
then you're missing out on momentum. Momentum is that unpredictable quantum leap. I think you wrote a book about the quantum leap, right? It's the unpredictable way of exponential growth.
Yes.
There are people here that are, maybe they're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for whatever reason, I don't know how to go through all of those. Maybe there's health thing. I don't know all of the reasons.
Yes.
But people lose passion. The spark isn't the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How do we know when to recapture that or find something new?
Right.
And then how can we do that? Like how can we recapture passion? And I also know you have a way of rekindling courage too, because that's a skill. So talk to me practically. How do we do that?
Yes. Let's talk about passion, and then in the building of confidence, some things specifically that one can do. Okay, so passion, number one, is realizing how important it is. Because, you can go for days and weeks without even identifying the fact that you're in passion. You get up, you get dressed, you go to work, but you have to really identify, am I in passion or am I being a professional? When you're talking to leaders, they're going to do the job, but are they going to quantum leap that job because they're passionate? So number one. Number two, I tell people that it takes quiet time. It really takes quiet time. And, for the type A person, that's not very easy. And every single year when you're in sales, you have to start again, right? You start again, you have a vision. So people would say, Gloria, what are we going to do? I said, leave me alone. I just need a minute. Because it doesn't matter if I work, if I don't know exactly where I want to go, then I can't take anybody else with me. I knew in my leadership position that the more successful I became, the far more successful people associated with me would become. And I tell people all the time, if you have a passionate leader, you need to thank that leader, because he or she can lead you without passion, or he or she can lead you with passion. If they lead you with passion, it's impossible to be in passion and not share the energy that you send out when you're in passion. Number 3, probably the most important, is the gratitude. You turn from someone who sees things bad to seeing how grateful you are about things. What is great about where you are right now? What is it that you can create? What is it that you can be grateful for? Because when you are not passionate, you see what's wrong. And I'm telling you, as you know, all of us know, if you're looking for what's wrong, you will absolutely
Yes.
find it.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for what's right, you will absolutely find it. That's why you can take 2 people in the same company, and maybe the being challenged for a second. This leader will thrive and this leader will not. We saw that in COVID. We saw people who thrived in the circumstances and those that were so fearful and challenged and refused to use their skill set and their courage, and they started a quick dive. And then somebody was like, no, they remembered who they were. And then they started rebuilding and doing things and shifting things differently. So I think that passion is revived when you become grateful. You become grateful for the people who are in your space. You become grateful for the opportunity, and you become grateful for the deadlines in front of you.
Hmm.
Deadlines are a gift. And when you're not passionate, they are a problem.
Oh, yeah.
But when you're passionate, you're like, oh, I'm getting ready to eat this for lunch all day long. So that's the passionate piece. The part about the confidence is skill-based. So you have to identify where you need to be able to be skilled in order to go to the next level. Where people get confused, Donnie, is they look for the big win, the big goal. Of course, we see the bigness, but can you see what's next? The art of seeing what's next, especially when you're leading people. Because when you lead people and you're a very exciting leader, you're taking all of us to someplace really big. And everybody gets excited about the bigness and what it looks like and what it feels like. But how many of you can really get to the next thing? And when you can get to that next level, which takes courage, which takes skill, because my vision is that we have a lot going on in our life. It's a lot going on. Well, you get this ball rolling, and then you get this ball rolling, and then you got to let one ball go.
Mm.
And that happens when you become confident at that skill,
Mm.
right? So there's a point when you're not skilled at networking, and then you become skilled at networking. You don't have to keep learning how to do networking and all of it. You got that skill down. It's locked. You got it. And now you pick up something else. Now I'm going to pick up how to present well. Not like I can't present well. Of course you can present well. You just have to learn how to present well, and you have to practice it, and you're going to get that on lock. So
Mm.
now my presentation skills are on lock. And now you get another skill. But it takes courage to identify the skill you may not have. It takes courage sometimes to talk to the role model to say, can you teach me this? That particular role model doesn't have time to see you right now, so that you can't go into that space of they don't like me, they don't have time for me. No, there's someone else that's supposed to teach you. And of course, we find out that when we go find the other person, it's like, oh, that was the person I was supposed to be with in the first place. So it's that ability to lean forward on what it is you have to learn how to do, to learn it, do the work, be uncomfortable, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the only way you get the courage, is to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and getting the courage. Because once you get the courage, that's when the choices open up. I mean, the confidence. The courage leads to the confidence. And when you get the confidence, the choices open up.
So good. And I would say this, like, listen, leaders, you stepping onto the high wire is what gives you the right to ask others to step onto the same high wire.
Right.
And you have to go first. And a part of going first is sometimes being the follower that you want your followers.
Yes.
So find someone to follow. None of us are getting to where we're going alone, right? We
Right.
need help getting there.
Right. Exactly. And you can identify who your leaders are going to be by how they follow. You can identify those the ones who ask, what are we doing next? What do you need me to do? Where are we going? That's where your leaders are, those who are the best team players. And so I always tell people, because in my world, they can always choose not to show up or to show up. I always said to them, I would like you to be in my playground. I will never need you because you can't lead what you need, but I will always be one to embrace your dreams, and we will see if they're aligned. If you choose not to play in my playground, I'm okay with that. But I do know, no, not believe, not blah, blah. I know that if you play in my playground, you will come out a better leader, a better winner if you choose to play with us. Because people do more for the team than they do for themselves.
There's more than just an attitude in this. Like you can't you can't lead what you need.
Right.
There's some people right now in our audience that are listening, and they're needy. They're not they're holding on to someone they shouldn't hold on to. Like
Right.
how do we come to that place of like
Yes.
how do we see that, and then how can we that feels fixable, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fixable. I'm glad you brought that up because so many times we as leaders take on in our mind the responsibility for fixing people who don't even want to be fixed themselves, who don't want to do the work themselves, who say, I see the potential in you. I believe in the potential in you. You tell them about the potential in you, but they spend so much time denying it because it can be a myriad of reasons. And so in our holding on to those who don't want to be held on to, we lose time, we lose energy, and we lose confidence.
Oh yeah. Oh God. And you can't calculate the loss of confidence. You can't calculate the
Right.
cost of that loss. And so some of you also are owning too much of their success for
Oh my goodness. Yes.
dragging people along with you. And some of you need to let go of some people right now, like
Right.
for whatever reasons. And yet you're like, no, they can't succeed without me. They don't need you neither. Like, I know
Right.
that's not proper English. We're in partnership here.
Yes, yes, yes. And you just ask them. I think so many leaders mistakenly think that they have to figure it out without asking this grown person in front of them what they think. Tell me what you think. I always told people, if you could go into an agreement with me that I get to tell you what I think and you get to tell me what you think. And I may not like what you say, and you may not like what I say, but what we need is a agreement that we have a place to articulate the way I see things and the way you see things. It doesn't make it right or wrong, but if I don't feel like I can tell you what I think and you don't feel like you can tell me what I think, then there is no communication. There's no communication. And without communication, there's no leadership.
So good. I mean, like everything that we're ever doing together thrives from connection. It
Yes.
thrives from
Right.
calibration. It thrives from even the initial meaning of company comes from compania. It's to be together and to break bread with friends and trade together.
Oh my
There
goodness.
has to be a fellowship and all this stuff. And if we don't acknowledge that, we're missing out on like there's passion levels where
Yeah.
multiplication level, like you're not taking quantum leaps.
Right. Right. You're not. And you talked about the companionship, the company, the being together. It's super important that we know in terms of energy, our energy is ignited many times with face to face. It's ignited so many times by being around other people's energy. When people take your energy, you know it. And when people fuel your energy, you know it. So once again, you have to be very aware of being around how you get your energy, who you get your energy, and be intentional about putting your body in the place and the space where it can be shifted.
Mm. I want to talk about bodies and spaces and places in a second because I think that's actually for you old school people. I think that old school is about to make a comeback because we're all going to get sick of the robots. But can you tell, like, if you were to say, hey, here's how we can take advantage and get connected and be like excellence and energy as a part of our piece, like
Yeah.
cap that off for the leaders here. And you've been so generous to go deep in all of these things because
Yeah,
I
thank
know
you.
people pay you a lot of money to get coached with this stuff. So
Yeah, I do love guiding people here because once the light bulb goes off, once the light bulb goes on, it never goes off again because they get it. So when you start talking about the energy and the excellence, number one, if a leader reduces her standards to meet the people, she has already reduced herself, and she's worse, has reduced them. Your job as a leader is to take people to a higher level. You cannot do that if you reduce your expectations and your excellence. You can only do that by supporting someone to get to a higher level. You said something before, about leading by example. Like, for instance, when I'm talking to people, it's not my job to help you. Because if I have to help you, I've already told you it's too hard to do in the first place. But it is my job to support you. And the best support that I can give you is a vision of what I've done so that you can do it again. And you can decide if that's the path you want to take or if someone else's path is good. Because I agree with you, there's a lot of different ways to skin the cat right. So I, as a leader, cannot be intimidated or cannot be upset if someone else makes your light bulb come on brighter than I do. It's okay. I don't care who makes your light bulb come on bright, but I know for a fact that I won't shrink my standards of excellence to make you feel comfortable, because you soon will feel very uncomfortable. And
unbelievable.
it makes a difference.
When you said like it's so like y'all need to go back and listen to this one again because even when you're saying like, hey, when I help you, it's basically me telling you that it's not possible for like there's so much layered into that, and that's so much fun. We were having a conversation. I want to go here because I really feel like this is going to give hope, inspiration, and instruction for people
Mhm.
who are saying, you know, listen. I was talking to a guy. It was a few months ago, and I
Mm.
can't believe it's 2025. He leads a large real estate company in the panhandle of Florida,
Wow. Yeah.
60 realtors. And he said, our people are shell shocked. Still, it never got back on track after COVID. And I think a lot of them are just waiting for it to come into play. And you and I were talking about like really this power. It's odd that that's kind of a specter that hangs over people,
Right.
but that face to face really is one that like offers this bright spot for people to reconnect and re-engage in a way that like blows past that and AI and like talk to us about that because you see a lot, you go a lot of places, you see a
Yeah.
lot of things. So
Yes. I think that we learned a lot in COVID, and COVID changed a lot. There were so many incredible technologies and blessings that came out of it. Us talking like this right now
here
is a
we
big piece of it,
are.
right? But what we didn't do is we didn't gather back all the things that were the foundation of what made us work in the first place. And that is people to people connection. We do need all the technology. In fact, yesterday on my Facebook Live, I was talking about technology and falling in love with it and stuff like that. But the bottom line is what I know and what that's why we gather. That's why we gather for July 4th. We gather for Thanksgiving. We gather for different holidays. We gather for these things because of the energy, the fortitude.
Mm.
Fortitude is what you get when you're with people. You don't get fortitude from technology. You get fortitude from people looking in your eyes, talking to you, believing in you, pushing you gently or hard towards where you're going. That's why people will say, can I come over to your office? Because sometimes the phone call doesn't do it. We have to work with the things that we have to work. But if there's any way for you to face get with the person or get with the group, it matters. Like I was telling somebody last week, I said, you have to be able to acknowledge when texting doesn't work anymore. You have to go to lunch. You have to sit there and invest an hour or 2 hours in that person, because that investment of an hour and two can last you 10 years. I mean, it really can last like that. But a Zoom doesn't last 10 years. It just doesn't do the same. And so we have to really understand that your molecules, and you know, one of the things I teach in sales, I had to learn to throw my energy upon other people. So getting your molecules on someone else really does matter because they connect with you. And it's hard to throw those molecules on other people if you don't have a chance to embellish what it's like to face to face.
So it's so interesting. Like there's like there was this little I'm just looking back on my notes, and when you mentioned how you there was like this trust thing that you would give to people because you trust. It's almost like you have to be generous in the act, right? Because you trusted first,
Right.
trusted you. I've always had like this one of my power. I can like almost anyone. It's really hard for me to
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like
yeah,
someone.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah.
I think because of that, I think like they like me, or at least I think they do. I don't know. But there's something that happens when you're able to connect. I do agree with you. There's something that happens face to face.
Yeah.
I want you to imagine that you're someone trying to grow a business,
Hmm.
and we have to make that a byproduct of connection. First off, I like let's get around people and find the right people. But what places and spaces? How would you put yourself with others so that you position yourself in that place of growth where you're giving the energy, but there's a place of receiving? How would you position yourself if you were one of the leaders listening to this?
Okay. Here's what I honestly believe is you learn by watching. You learn by instruction and hearing it, but you learn a lot by watching if you walk into the room hungry. So you decide what your industry is, and you figure out where the best performers are in that industry in terms of collective events, and you go. That's how you invest, is that you go there, whether it's convenient. I remember going, and I remember saying to my leader, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the babysitters. This wasn't in the plan. Da 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 da. Now we all know that people who are hungry, they have the money, they
Yes.
can make it happen.
Yes.
They just don't want to yet.
Yeah.
And the minute she made me want to is the minute I shifted. I became excellent, you guys, in making sure I communicated to a person why it was important they were in the space. Because we so many times don't understand how to make it critical to them, because we know as leaders that you get in that space and in one story, in one speech, in one energy, in 2 hour period, you can change what's the word I'm looking for?
Trajectory.
Yes, the trajectory, thank you, of their vision, right? Of their belief, not the how, but that they see themselves possible in another place, and therefore they get there. So to me, it's, where do you go? You go where the successful industry players go. Because I promise you, if they're successful, they see each other. They're going. And it might be in your company, it might be in your competitors, but it is where the best people are.
Love it. Love it. I love it. I love it. You have given so much today, Dr. Gloria Mayfield Banks, who helps you to find the opportunity at the crossroads of the obstacles. You see obstacles, she brings the opportunity.
Right.
She helps you to turn ordinary into extraordinary. Where do we find you? How do we engage you more? You're on Fuel, you're on the Fuel platform.
Yes.
Where else can we get you, Dr. Gloria Mayfield Banks?
I always tell people the easiest place, of course, is social media. So I'm on Facebook as Gloria Mayfield Banks. I'm on Instagram as Gloria Banks. You can find me. You hit that Google, you say Gloria Mayfield Banks, and you leave me a message. I want you to know. I want to get the messages. I want to get the messages, and no one answers my stuff other than me. So I'm really excited to connect with you, and I'm really excited to make all these new friends that are leaders. But I'm here, just like we're here for each other. It's never one way. It's never just them to me. I believe every connection is a back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, you're as you're doling out from your gift. That's the beauty of a gift. It's a generative thing that
Yes,
when you are generous with this, like I love the GEN, generous as with the genesis of the, you're generating, you're
yes,
giving, it's also gives back to you. That's the place where
tenfold,
we all belong.
tenfold.
And you
Yeah.
give us permission to do that. Thank you so much for your generous act today.
Yes,
Been a pleasure being with you,
I've
and
loved it.
yeah,
Thank you so
I'm
much.
full. My heart is full right now, so thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, all right, bye, guys, for now, and.